Okay, hi. So, welcome to the Azul Marketing and F2P podcast. And this is our attempt to spread the wonderful ideas we have in our minds. My co host, Javier Velasquez, has been my friend since we're 10, and he was a dungeon master in our Dungeons and Dragons adventures since we were 12 years old. And the funny thing is, that in Colombia, we're from Colombia, you can tell by our accents. In Colombia, Dungeons and Dragons adventures are very expensive. So since the very early age, we had to come up with a way to be able to play without spending all our lunch money in adventures. So Javier had the ability to come up with the ideas and all that, and that's where his gamification and game design journey began 30 years ago. And now my background is in event marketing. So I've been producing and designing events in the United States for the last 15 years. And recently we combined our efforts into a very successful experience, which was a gamified event. And that's what this new adventure is about, how we can make events and experiential marketing enhanced and how to boost it with gamification. So welcome, Javier.
Thank you, Ale. I thought you were going to say that your background was in being an Elven Ranger, a two-sword wielding Elven Ranger. Yeah,
I didn't want to brag.
Mystic Rock Greenleaf. The name was taken from our first adventure in the first box of Dungeons and Dragons initial kit. Yeah, it's been a long journey. And this journey has taken us a long way into this realm of using gamification, not just for playing with a couple of friends and, I don't know, a party of 5, but we actually played with 500 people at the same time, and it was quite an adventure, right?
It was indeed, and we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But first, I think the question everybody has right now is, what is gamification?
What is physics? You love that one.
Yes.
What is physics? Yeah, what is gamification? So gamification is a broad term right now for a lot of practices that revolve or work around using games or game design elements and structures, paradigms, to actually solve real life problems, right? It's like game designers have become sort of like applied psychologists in a way.
Okay.
And they have been experimenting with humans with each game you play. There's a lot game designers have been learning around how you are motivated, how you are driven to do stuff, and how you make decisions, how it's your decision making process. And right now, it's a big thing because, there's behavioral economics, behavioral sciences, and everything. All those studies trying to figure out how we make choices, and the game design has a lot to give in that regard. So it's not just about making games; it's about understanding how to make social engineering in a way. It's about understanding how I can leverage decision making and motivation in context where it's not usually thought of, right?
Perfect. And to follow up on that concept, there's also a misunderstanding around this because it's a very novel concept. What is not gamification? It's not making a game per se. It's bringing game elements into a non-game context to enhance the experience and incentivize certain behavioral patterns.
That's right. It's even a common misunderstanding. People tend to confuse, for example, gamification with serious games, right? Okay. Serious games tend to be full-fledged games, and they're used a lot, for example, in education. And everyone that works around serious games starts saying, "I'm working in gamification," because gamification becomes a brand, right? Like it's like a buzzword. Right, so it's sexy, right? It's sexy. But if you go to the roots of it, gamification and game design, gamification takes elements from the game design to solve other kinds of problems. But sometimes you don't even see the game. You don't have to feel like you're playing. You're just seeing that there are aspects of the way things are working out, there are mechanics of things that they're borrowing things from game design, right? So, for example, Tinder. Tinder is gamification. It's not a game, right? But it actually uses game design elements in the matching system. It's what you would find in other games where you're doing matches, right?
Ah, okay.
So you can see how gamification can permeate a lot of things without you even realizing it, right?
Perfect. Okay, so for example, the points you earn in your airplane tickets and your mile systems, those are a very archaic way of gamification of rewarding you for buying from them and then keep coming back and all
In
that.
terms of modern gamification, those systems I wouldn't even consider them a gamification.
Okay.
Why? Because the way they work, these loyalty points programs, actually work against what we know as game designers, right? For example, in terms of how you receive points and you spend points, that's what in game design you call the farming mechanic. And in a farming mechanic, people get fatigue. It's not fun to just work to get points and spend them. That's not what good game designers do. But that's what loyalty programs have been doing for a long time, right? So actually, if you tell me gamification was called the Loyalty 3.0 back in 2013 when it all began, and it was like an evolution of loyalty programs. Right now, it's more complex than that. So I would say earning points and spending them has a little bit to do with gamification in terms that you see those systems working out in games, but a real gamification system actually understands why those systems fail and improve on them. So that would be like an example of a bad gamification system.
Yes, because now that you mentioned that, and I mentioned that I worked in game in event design, and yeah, there's a lot of ways you can design an event, and you can put like a canopy and a tablecloth, and that's it. That's an event. That's BTL in the rulebook. But you can also create a massive experience, super engaging, and all that. And both are BTL, but one is better than the other. So if I understand correctly, and I'm living in this marketing side, we have encountered different types of fun activities, or even companies that claim to say, "Oh, wait, we gamify events." But as far as we have seen it, is like, yeah, no, you collect these stamps in a card, and then you go and get a prize. And yes, technically you can call it gamification, but it's not what we're talking about here, because what we're bringing to the table is a very sophisticated way to amplify experiences, amplify behaviors, and get super incredible results from the behaviors we're expecting to see or attendance to our events through game-like mechanics, like something we did recently, but we were gonna mention that event a lot, but in the future. So those, oh yeah, we have a leaderboard and points and badges, and what's the name for that? the
PBLs.
The PBLs,
The points, badges, and leaderboards.
So that's a very generic. Okay, here's a gamification for you.
Yeah. It's gamification started as a way to create motivation in an efficient way, right? Okay. So what happened is back then, when gamification started, the model was casual games, the mobile games, the Facebook style games, when Facebook still had games, right? And those systems were about having simple game engines that you could replicate in a lot of games, right? So if you see how these games work, you of course gather points, and with those points you complete missions. So if you complete missions, you start getting badges, and there would always be a button with leaderboards, and you would have experience points, and you would level up. It was like the same meta game, the same mechanic, copy pasted in several games. So what happened is, at the beginning, gamification experts, they were experts, they were the founders of these kinds of systems. They thought, if I could place those same systems in real life scenarios, I could do quick gamification, quick behavioral change, quick motivation systems. What happened is those systems started failing really fast, because not because of the points, not because of the badges, not because of the leaderboards. Those things work really well. You play fantasy football, and you have leaderboards, and you have points, and there are badges, and you still play it after, I know, several years.
Yeah,
right?
17 years.
Of course.
I lost the leadership. So it was tragic.
Yeah, so it really can work. These systems can really work, and sports have relied on these systems for a long time, and you still play sports and you still watch sports, right? So the problem is not the PBLs per se, it's the way you use them. And the way most people use them are as reward systems. Like, again, farming, you collect some points, complete some missions, get a badge, and then you will have a leaderboard. and that's it. That's the whole design. Wow, that was amazing. No, it's not. That's really simplistic. A really simplistic way. If you check out how a leaderboard works, for example, in sports, leaderboards are contained with only a few players, and the game is made in a way that players go up and down the leaderboards, so there's a lot of movement, and there's always a possibility of reaching the place where you can win something from the leaderboard, right?
Okay.
There are sports where you don't find this, like for example, if you think Formula One, right? So you have a lot of racers, and you're only focused on the first racers. As a spectator, you don't care for those that are
Unless you're a personal friend of
one of the guys, right. Yeah. So you're invested in those that are in the top, right?
Okay.
So what happens is, for example, if you think about the FIFA World Cup, when you get to the World Cup, you have these small groups with 5 teams only, because that's where leaderboards work best, where everyone thinks that they still have a chance.
Right.
You're in the fourth game, and you still feel like if they tie and they lose and we win with six in Colombia that happens a lot, right? With 6 goals, then we can go to the next round.
That's how we play World Cup.
But you still,
Just praying that if this player gets injured and this player scores 3 own goals and we,
it's up. But that's what keeps you engaged. The idea that you have hope and there's possibilities of gaming the system in a way, right? So it's not, the problem is not the leaderboard, it's not the points, it's what they represent and how they are used and how they integrate with the mechanics of our way of thinking, of hoping, of feeling emotions, and that's the key part of it.
Perfect. So just like marketing, gamification is not like any system is bad or is good or bad or well or wrong. It's just how you use it, how you design it, and the background, the story behind it, and this is why we bring it to place. And again, I have discussed this with some of my clients a lot of times, and one of them is very enthusiastic about the prize wheels, and he's like, yeah, no, let's bring a prize wheel. We make jokes and with his team and stuff, and he says, and I think he's correct, and he says, bring me any VR, any AR, whatever you want to an activation. I bring my prize wheel, and we'll see who has a bigger line. and the reality is that prize wheels work very well. We just have to be very smart how to use them. And now I want to tie that concept into what gamification brings into the events. And as we already mentioned, these social mechanics, these behaviors, all these things can be enhanced through gamification. So you think about, and we're going to break this into later episodes piece by piece, but you think about networking, you think about team building, you think about, okay, we need to learn a skill in this convention because the whole purpose of this convention is for our employees to come and go home or go to their cities with this particular set of skills, these ideas, and games can help embed those into the audience. They can help team building. They can amplify networking like crazy, and we're going to talk about that in the next episode. And all those things, competition, even if you want to make something competitive, or rewards, that's also part of games. Some people play games for the rewards. And social media, amplification for small events or for public facing events, because those are different types of events we've been working with. So internal events, you're facing your own employees, or you're facing outside public. Those can embed. So, hey, come here, take a picture, share a hashtag, whatever. And then you get brand amplification in live marketing. But what if there's a game and something going on that makes you interact with other customers and make you really want to try really hard to accomplish whatever we want you to do because of the game? So I don't know if you have anything else to say in this introduction.
You can see that what you're describing is a way actually of social engineering, right? So
Yes.
how I make people network, how I make people create and build teams, things that doesn't happen in an organic way, not in the way a traditional event is built, right? In a traditional event, everything in terms of the social structures that you create in a regular event is you come with a core group of people, you engage with those 3-4 people that you came and that you can make jokes. It's an organic social event where it's how we usually behave as humans, what creates the whole dynamics of the event, right? So I'm bored, I don't want to go to that event, so I don't go, right? or I love that speaker, I will do the anything to be in the first row. But it's about the human nature, and it's all organic. But what happens with game design in this idea of social engineering is that actually when you play games, you can actually create a rule set that will make people create different strategies that align with the rules that you're creating. And in that sense, if you want to create team building, you need to create a system where team building matters. That's the first thing I need to do. I need people to think, I want to have a team because having a team allows me to complete an objective. And it's not just about building a group of people and say, hey, we solve this mission. It's no, we as a group could solve the mission better. And if we had more people, the odds of achieving the mission increased. So let's bring all the people to the table and let's get to know other people to bring them and play. And let's find the role that I need, the person that I need, because we don't have in our party that specific role.
Oh, I have a specific story about that. We're gonna cover that in team building episode. But yeah, that was wonderful.
Yeah, and that's what games bring to the table, especially in terms of event design. Is okay, we have a lot of people. We have 500 people. Maybe we have 10. Maybe we have people that comes to our booth and we will interact with them a couple of seconds. And what can I take out of them in those couple of seconds, or how can I make them want to come to my booth again after 2 hours? I need to create a rule set that will make them want to come back, right?
Yes.
So that's all design. That's it. That's
awesome. Awesome. So I think that would cover the overview of what we're gonna be talking about in the following years. Hopefully we're consistent enough and we're motivated enough to keep coming and keep sharing this, because we really think it's something worth sharing, is something worth doing, and we're super confident and we have the experience to back it up that this would definitely enhance a lot of the experience you guys have in the future. So thank you for coming, Javier, and we're gonna see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.